one's here yet. So
Oh.
we got 8 people.
That's their loss.
We're live.
Make sure you save this afterwards. Don't forget to hit the old save button on
So
there.
we're live over here.
Might be able to use it for something. So we've been filming a bunch of stuff today. I think we filmed maybe like 10 videos.
I lose track after 5.
We did 10 videos. We'll just say 10. I was going to do 100, but Andrew almost fell over there. So we're going to do 10. This is the last one that we're going to do for today. And right now we're going to open things up for a Q&A. So if you guys got any questions, hopefully I can figure out some answers. But I talked about all kinds of stuff today. I talked about carnivore diet, talked about a keto diet, talked about some of the differences between those two, talked about why I don't eat carbs, talked about supplements. I've talked about all kinds of shit today. When I talked about supplements, I forgot to mention that I do take Mind Bullet. I do take Kratom. It's a supplement that I really enjoy a lot, and I take it before most of my workouts. But yeah, we've gone over a lot of stuff, and if you guys got any questions, let me know what's up.
Sweet baby Ray says, my girlfriend broke up with me. What do I do?
Oh, sweet baby Ray. Damn, man. Well, that's a good name to start with. So at least he has that going for him. Girlfriend broke up with him. You know, you got to do what you always done. You got to lift through it, right? You got to go to the gym, and you got to hit up some training, get around some good friends, because we know since you had a girlfriend, since you were getting some, that you've been neglecting your buddies. You've been neglecting your boys. So you got to get back around your homies, get back around your friends, say what's up to them, go get some training in with them, and go eat some buffalo wings with them, and forget about that chick and work on moving on.
What about going semi-sumo on the deadlift? I'm not sure exactly what he's
Like sumo-conventional maybe?
Yeah. That's pretty much all I get nowadays, the semi. I'm getting a little older. Was that the right thing? Semi-sumo, I do it actually all the time because like if I tend to go like really wide, it tends to just be a stretch really. So yeah, semi-sumo deadlifts are great. Ed Cohn, the master of the deadlift, the master of powerlifting really, 901 pound deadlift with that kind of weird conventional sumo pull stance. So worked really well for him. If it's working good for you and it feels right and it feels like you're not going to hurt your back, then you're good to go. Next question. Uh-oh.
Do you miss being bigger? I feel better daily, but not as good in the gym.
No, you know, I pushed the limits on that, and I mean, I guess I miss being bigger than I am right now, but I don't miss being the biggest. You know, I was 330 pounds, and I was pretty unhealthy, but I could lift just about anything. It felt great in terms of the actual lifting, but I feel better in the gym too than I ever have because I can do things like pull-ups, and I can move better, and I feel better. And I'm not limited. You know, back then I was very limited. It was like bench, squat, deadlift, and I couldn't do anything else. So I feel the best right now, and it took time though. When I first lost weight, I was like, what's everyone talking about? Do I feel good? Do I feel better? I didn't feel any better. It took actually a couple of years for me to start to feel the cumulative effects of the weight loss.
Party 12 asks if you're ever going to make a stronger slingshot.
Whoop Party. We have made a stronger slingshot, but we are probably not going to release it to the public. We tested it. It's a great product, works really well. Some guys in here that normally handle or that have benched around 500 pounds were benching mid-sixes and stuff like that with the product, and it was my fear that people would get hurt with it. And that was never the intention of the slingshot. The intention of the slingshot was to avoid and protect, or not avoid, to avoid injury and protect you, while training, allow you to train through and around your injuries. And so the real reason for the slingshot was never really to allow you to really lift a lot more. That kind of came later on as I developed, a stronger slingshot in the Mad Dog slingshot.
Ibra Paul asked, do you have a similar 30-day program for squat and deadlifts? Your bench program is dope. Thanks.
We're working on it. I'm glad you asked the question. Yeah, we're working hard over here on it. And then, if you want more information from me, we're probably just about 2 weeks away. And I know I've been saying 2 weeks for the last 4 years, but I finally finished my book, Jacked and Tan. It will be available to all of you, hopefully within the next couple weeks here. And it's something I've been working on for the last 4 years, worked really hard on it. Super proud of it and very excited, and I'm excited for you guys to get it. And there's plenty of information on deadlifts, squats, bench, how I eat, all that kind of stuff's in there.
Kevin McAllister, which is the character from Home Alone, he asks, can a deadlift get stronger without squatting?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some people that actually compete in deadlift only meets, or they bench and deadlift. There's actually an entire federation. I don't know if it's still around, but there's the WOBDL Federation, which is basically just deadlifting and bench pressing. And so you don't necessarily need to squat, although a squat is a great fundamental movement to help build up your legs, help build up your quads, your hamstrings, your butt, all the muscles around your knees and stuff. So it's going to be really, it's going to kind of suck to not not be able to squat. But you can do other movements. I mean, you know, hopefully, your knees aren't so bad. Hopefully you can do some lunges, or you can do some leg press, and you get other movements in there and work similar muscles in a different way and still be able to jack that deadlift up.
I've had a couple people ask, how do you train through shoulder injuries, bro?
You know what? Shoulder injuries are really, really tough. I would suggest to all of you out there that you do some rotator cuff work as a preventative tool, because once your shoulder does hurt, then it's probably going to kind of chronically hurt forever. I would also suggest that you wear a slingshot in your training to protect your shoulder for a period of time as you allow your shoulder to heal. Once you start to feel a little bit better, now it's going to be kind of up to you to work on kind of rehabbing that shoulder. Most people never take enough time to try to actually rehab, and they try to jump back into stuff too quickly. My recommendation on that would be, really lighten the weights up on the bench press. If bench pressing is that excruciating and hurts that bad, then maybe don't even do a regular barbell bench press at all for a little while. Work on some dumbbell work on things that you can actually do. And this goes for anybody with any injury. If you have an injury with a pain level of over a 3, then you need to probably find another exercise to do. There's really no reason for you should be uncomfortable in the gym, and things should kind of hurt in terms of like muscle soreness and fatigue, and the challenge should hurt, but you shouldn't be in pain. Pain level of 3, anything over 3 out of 10 is a no-go. So you want to try to avoid that. And then how you build up your shoulder would really just depend exactly on what your injury is. But I would spend a lot of time doing a lot of front raises, side raises, rear delt work, and rotator cuff work.
Master Jones wants advice on how to get his wife interested in working out with him.
How to get anybody interested in working out: take them to the gym, and after a short warm-up, have them work on just like 1 or 2 things for the day, and then really try to learn what that person likes. You'll learn quickly whether they like to have their heart racing, they like to like go back and forth between exercises and get a good sweat, or if they like to kind of lift heavy and have more rest in between the sets. So that would be my recommendation for that particular incidence. And what I would also suggest is that you really work on focusing on those 1 or 2 things, so the person's not in the gym forever. You got to recognize that they don't want to be in the gym forever the way that you do. And in this case with your wife, it would be good to have some tender love and care towards her. Be really sweet, be really kind to her, and show her the way, and show her something that's fun, something that's simple, but also has just like a little bit of enough of a challenge to it. So things like lat pull downs and seated rows and those things are really, really easy. But if you're like, hey, honey, this is going to really help shape your legs, this is going to really help shape your butt, and we're going to have you do some lunges in between the lat pull downs, and in between, you got to try to get into her psyche. Why does she want to go to the gym? Why do you want her to go to the gym? What do you think she's going to really benefit from? And then it's your job to show her how she's going to benefit from going to the gym. Next question.
Amber Banda 915. I have my first meet this Saturday. My coach told me not to lift. Should I just do mobility?
Yeah, absolutely. You should listen to your coach. If you're hiring a coach, if you're paying for a coach, then absolutely just listen to your coach. most of my career, I didn't lift the entire week before the meet. Sometimes I would come in and just do a little fluffy stuff. I would just move around a little bit, get some blood flow going, but I wasn't trying to lift anything. There was a time where I came in the gym one day and I was like, I don't lift until Sunday, so I'm going to lift on Wednesday. And I tried to move the weight around for a bench press. I did a couple sets, and I only had 225 pounds on there, which at the time super light for me, just doing some reps. I go to rack the weight, and just something happened when I racked the weight. This has never happened to me before, and it's never happened to me since. And I got my whole entire fat side of my hand stuck in the rack, stuck between the rack and the bar. And it got all smushed and all squishied up, and it turned all red and started bleeding. And then for the entire meet, it bled it bled the whole time. When I squatted, it was like pulsing blood out. It was disgusting. I had to wrap the damn thing up. And then when I was bench pressing, it was like blood was dripping down. So it's a good idea you're not going to really do anything to improve your strength at that time. The only thing you can really do is hurt yourself. So try to stay out of the gym. Even if you're going to do the mobility stuff, just try to do it at home or go to like a yoga studio or something.
Best advice for natty lifters out there?
Oh my God, why are you natty, bro? Why would anybody do such a thing? That sounds so hard. Powerlifting in general is, it takes a really, really long time to get strong. Strength is not something that you just cultivate overnight. This is going to take you a long time. It's going to take a lot of consistency, and it doesn't matter if you're using steroids or if you're not using steroids. It's still going to take a really long time. The steroids will amplify that by making you weigh more. You'll be heavier. You'll have more muscle mass, and so therefore you'd be strong. You'd be a little stronger, faster. But you can still do all that without drugs. The best way to get strong is to gain weight. And if you don't want to make the commitment to gain weight or gain body fat, then you have an even slower road. So if you want to try to stay lean and get strong, it's going to even take a longer time. But all the rules apply just the same as whether someone's on steroids or whether they're not, whether they're natty, whatever decision that person tries to make. And it doesn't matter if somebody's trying to lose weight or if someone's trying to gain weight. All the foods are relatively the same. All you're going to do is adjust for the amount of food that you're going to eat. So in your case, you're going to want to make sure that you're eating enough protein, eating enough carbohydrates, eating enough fat, and you can try, whatever diet that you want to try, you want to give a shot to. I would suggest a vertical diet would be a great place for you to start. You go 1 gram per pound of carbohydrates and protein with whatever your body weight is. If you weigh 200 pounds, that would be 200 grams of carbs, 200 grams of protein, and you're going to do about half of that in fat. Would be like 100 grams, maybe more like 75 grams, sounds about right. Anyway, check out the vertical diet from Stan Efferding. That will really help you get your gains. You're going to have to make sure that you're getting a lot of sleep, and you might have to do a lot of things that the other guys and girls in the gym that have great genetics and are taking drugs aren't doing, and that's making sure that you're sleeping and making sure you're not missing any meals. Next question. Uh-oh. Go for it.
Max O is he's having a hard time meeting his daily calories. Should he tone down his workouts until he gets his food right?
That's not a bad idea, to just exercise a little bit less. The guy's kind of mentioning that he's having a hard time eating enough calories. Usually what happens when people have a hard time eating enough calories is that they're eating other things. There's other things in your diet that they shouldn't be eating. And so that's what you want to try to look at, like, are you eating protein bars? Are you randomly like jamming down some like peanut butter? Or like, are you randomly kind of like eating some things that maybe are slowing down your digestion and you can't get to your next meal? Again, I highly recommend the vertical diet from Stan Efferding. If you're not following along, you can check it out on Instagram. It's at the vertical diet or at Stan Efferding. Follow both of those, and you're going to learn a lot about Stan's diet. You can go to his website, stanefferding.com or theverticaldiet.com, and buy his book. It's just there's a lot of great principles in there that are going to teach you how easy it is to eat more than you're currently eating. Also, by combining ingredients, it makes it a lot easier to eat something. I myself really like hamburgers a lot, but I know like if I have a cheeseburger, it's way easier to eat. It tastes a lot better. If I have a bacon cheeseburger, it's even easier to eat. If you have a bacon cheeseburger with some ketchup on it, now it's even easier to eat, right? And so when you start to mix ingredients, I personally have taken out a lot of ingredients to prevent me from overeating. You can use it for just the opposite effect. Check out the vertical diet so you can learn how to eat more.
Any tips for wrist or elbow tendonitis?
Oh man, fuck your elbow, right? Elbow pain is a real B. You know, it's really, really tough to deal with. Wrist as well. One thing you might want to try to do is you might want to try to do some traction, and you can take a band and you can wrap a band around your wrist, and you could hook a band to a bottom of a rack, like a squat rack or something, and you can just try to you know, let that band pull away, let it pull on your wrist and let it pull on your elbow and stuff like that. You'll get a little bit of relief from doing that, you know, once or twice a week before a workout. Also, just make sure you're really warming up. I think a lot of people are not paying attention to making sure that they're really, really warm. Do a lot of sets of shoulders, maybe a lot of sets of back before you go doing any sort of bench press workout for the day. The only really real way I know of like having your wrist feel better during a training session, especially when you're trying to go heavy, is to just wrap your wrist. And in between wrapping the wrist, maybe you do exercises in the gym, you know, on different days and stuff like that to strengthen the wrist. You can do like push-ups on your fist, or you can work on doing push-ups and dips, anything that's going to kind of compromise and pull that wrist back, but something that you maybe don't feel like you need wrist wraps for. That might be a good idea. But while you're bench pressing and maybe while you're squatting, you might want to try to wear a wrist wrap. We sell compression cuffs at MarkBellSlingshot.com, which help tremendously with elbow tendonitis. But the main thing here is that in order to have change, then you yourself have to change. So you can't expect your elbow to calm down if all you're ever doing is going in the gym pulling and pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling and pushing nonstop over and over and over again. You're beating up that joint way too much. So you may want to utilize some straps for a little while. You may want to try to figure out, how do I go to the gym, have great training sessions, feel good about myself, but I'm not using my hands so much? Are there exercises, are there machines I can do where I'm not really gripping real hard? And try to think about that, and try to think about things that will also, you know, keep some tension off that elbow. Things like ice and things like that, they help about that much, which doesn't seem to be a lot. I mean, it can help you feel better after workout, but that's about it. Stretching your shoulders and stuff like that would be a great idea. Trying to get more mobility through your shoulder, because your elbow actually hurts because you've somehow along the line have lost external rotation. And when you lose external rotation and you're trying to keep your elbows in on a bench press, your elbow is in here, and your shoulder doesn't have the rotation to do that anymore, and you're putting a lot of stress on your elbow. Any of you that are fans of baseball, and you watch a pitcher in baseball, how far back they're able to sling their hand past the midline of their body, you're like, oh my God, how do they do that without ripping their arm apart? Well, they do rip their arm apart. There's tremendous torque and tremendous forces on those tendons, ligaments, and tissues, but they have the mobility to do so. They have the mobility, the range of motion to do it. And when they lose the range of motion, when they lose the strength of the rotator cuffs, then they also get so much elbow pain that they oftentimes need surgery.
My head's fat and blood work 90 both have muscle memory questions. Do you think the muscle you gained from your bodybuilding show carried over to your strength in powerlifting?
Muscle memory. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if I really, at this age, I don't really know how much more like muscle mass I can gain. I'm sure if I was under the tutelage of, some special bodybuilding coach or something like that, which I was during my bodybuilding prep, but our goal, we didn't have a lot of time to work on like gaining size. And so I think at this age and how long I've been lifting for, I think it would be pretty difficult for me to really gain any amount of size with bodybuilding. Also, I'd have to compromise, how much, PEDs I use, and like, that time has passed me by. So, I didn't really notice anything from the bodybuilding show other than the rebound. You know, when you rebound off a bodybuilding show and you gain 10, 20, 30 pounds, all the water and all the carbs and all the salt and everything makes you feel like a tank. I mean, I felt so strong coming off of that. I think I probably felt so strong more so from just the restriction, and then, you know, bringing back in some food and getting rid of some of the cardio. I think that's probably what made me feel really good, but it wasn't like I was exponentially stronger than I've ever been before. I just went back to being strong. One more question.
This one's kind of jokey, or do you want a serious question?
Whatever.
Myco, Trent, and Rhino, ladder match. Who emerges with the belt?
Rhino against who?
Myco, Trent.
Oh. Michael Tren always comes out victorious in everything. Stan can't hang with him. I can't hang with him. Nobody can. I don't know what's going on. One more question. Ladder match, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
I got one from Facebook. Tim Bruce asked your favorite pre-workout meal right now.
Favorite pre-workout meal right now. So right now I've been doing stuff a little differently. I've been fasting through the latter part of the day, which is probably the worst idea I've ever had. It's really, really hard. I eat in the beginning of the day, and I have a small meal before I come to the gym, and that usually consists of some sort of fruit and maybe a couple eggs and a little bit of meat. The meal is like just real moderate amount of food. I'll have like an orange or like an orange and a half. I might eat like 4 ounces of steak and about 2 or 3 eggs, something like that. And then when I get home from the gym is when I'll eat again. I just eat some meat. I don't do like a post-workout shake or anything complicated like that. I just do that, and then the rest of the day is fasting. But for now, my favorite meal before I work out, and my favorite meal always before I work out, has always been something that's not going to be too heavy, that's going to really weigh me down during the training session. Otherwise, I will try to give myself about 2 hours or so before I get to the gym, because I don't like that feeling of having a bunch of food in my stomach, you know, while I'm trying to train. So try to pick a simple carbohydrate if your diet allows for carbohydrates, and try to pick a fast protein as well. Like something like egg whites or something is going to digest really, really fast, and even something like a protein shake will digest pretty quickly. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you guys later.